What does it really take to build something extraordinary? Behind every thriving business is a powerful mix of grit, creativity, risk, and the relentless drive to keep going when others would stop. Welcome to the Next Venture Alliance Show, the podcast where entrepreneurs, innovators, and trusted advisors come together to uncover the stories and strategies behind remarkable ventures. With your host, Oliver Kotelnikov. Whether you're building, buying, scaling, or selling, this is your space to learn, get inspired, and prepare for your next venture.
Glad to have you with us today for the Next Venture Alliance Show. My name is Oliver Kotelnikov. I'm an entrepreneur, storyteller, mergers and acquisitions advisor, and a business and commercial real estate broker. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. On the show, we talk to founders, business owners, self-starters, industry leaders, and trusted advisors who support them. Together, we explore both the strategic and the human side of entrepreneurship. And on today's episode, I'm joined by a serial entrepreneur and a good friend, Greg Frislie. Among many successful ventures, Greg built and successfully exited such well-known companies as Cycle Central and Performance Footwear. And he's done it all by putting people first, serving deeply, listening intently, and consistently exceeding customer expectations while outworking the competition. I know this is just a brief introduction. I'm probably selling him short, but lucky for us, the man, the myth, the legend is with us here today, and he'll fill in the gaps. Greg, welcome.
Thank you. Well, I can't, I hear all that, and I honestly have to say my wife should be sitting here next to me because she really was the wheels. We always look good when we have a strong person behind us. So,
yeah, no, for sure. And, I know Carmen well, and I know the role that she has played in all your success. And
yeah,
I'm sure it continues to do so.
Yeah.
But we met in the performance footwear chapter of your career, but that's not really where your story began. Can you take us back to the origins? And
well, I would start saying that Monopoly was my best game, my favorite game growing up. I played that with my best friend before I was 10 years old. I think we played every day in the trailer park I grew up in North Idaho. It was just a fun game. I got it. I loved it. I loved seeing growth. I loved seeing numbers increase and whatnot. And so, he was my buddy that had the Kool-Aid stand, and we had a candy store that we ran at the school kind of, in the background.
This is all happening parallel when you're 7, 8 years old?
8 years old, probably.
So you got three things going at least by the time you're 8.
Yeah, we had a whole hustle going on with lawn mowing and snow shoveling and all that type of stuff. When you grow up poor, you just kind of figure it out because there's just not a lot to go around. So, in order to go do the things that we wanted to do, we just had to work and make it happen. So nothing against my upbringing. It was phenomenal. It just it is what it is. And so we played
where was it? Is it Idaho? No?
Yeah, North Idaho.
Okay.
Yeah, Post Falls, Idaho. So, and, it's kind of skipping through it. I wasn't a college educated person. I have a pretty strong feeling on purpose on college and who should go and who doesn't need to go. And I was
We have that in common. We've talked about it. Yeah.
And so, I actually, out of high school, I got into the auto industry and I sold cars, and it was fun. I loved it. It was like a sport. You see the customer out on the lot, and you get to go meet them, greet them, test drive them, ask them to buy, and then work the deal and make them. And so that's really where pretty much cut my teeth in that industry. It's a difficult industry.
Yeah.
It's gotten more difficult, obviously, as the internet has stepped in and it's not as fun. My car dealer buddies would probably disagree with that, but I like connecting with people, and it's really become more kind of where our world has become is more about price and, how cheap can you sell me this thing? It's really not about the service anymore and what you can get or give, so people want to know what they can pay for it. So sadly,
it's more transparent that way on one hand, right? But the facts are out there in the car business. Somebody shows up with a Carfax and a, manufacturer's invoice and says,
Yeah.
I'm buying it for X, right?
Right.
And
Somewhere.
so, yeah.
Yeah, somewhere. It may not be here, but I want to go drive.
Yeah.
I worked my way through that industry into sales management. And when my now 23-year-old was born, I didn't want to work until 3 a.m. anymore, cranking out deals.
And what ages were these? I mean, you started at what, 20? Kind of,
No,
that was your college in essence?
I started at 18.
18.
And
okay.
yeah, I bought my first home at 19. So I had to hustle. I had to get that thing paid for and whatnot, and started kind of working on the whole, real estate acquisitions at that point. Because I realized I don't have a college education. I'm probably not going to fit into the box of the people that they build. And so I'm not going to have a pension. I have to create some sort of a future, value type of a thing. And so I figured, well, I'll just buy homes or rent them out. So that's what I did over in Spokane. But I was 18 when I started. When I got out of the auto industry, I ended up, I was 31 and a half, like something like that. But then I marketed those insurance products to auto dealers. And so it wasn't like I was out of it. I spent another decade in the wholesale end of it, showing auto dealers how to become more profitable. And sold insurance policies to help with their profitability and things like that. So that was fun.
It's something that, and I remember, we talked about kind of your start and how you got started and how your roots, impacted what you're telling your family, right? And your boys. And I know Corbin and Brennan well, and I've seen you interact. And one of the conversations you and I had was, about college and who should go and who shouldn't go. And you saying, give you 15 grand and a car and you drive around the country and work your way through it. And when this money runs out, it's out. But that's kind of your, experience. Go out there, make something happen, get some life experiences, meet people, learn to make connections, learn about what you like and what you don't like, learn about the country, where places you like or don't. So basically, hands-on, right? Everything is versus sitting in the classroom and learning something. And I have nothing against kind of higher education and concept, but it's a different path, right? And it's not an inferior path, just learn by doing, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And I think that has been a pretty big shift on that style of thinking, because I was definitely an outsider, in that arena of thought, I guess, that a lot of people would be like,
for a long time, because that was the mainstay,
Yeah. Your kids have to go to college. Well, what are they going to do in college? They're going to rack up debt. They're going to party. They're going to have some life experiences and stuff that they wouldn't get not going to school, but they're not the kind of life experiences that, I'm going to support, really. They can go do that on their own with their own money. I would rather, I think Brennan was 16 and Corbin was 19, and they bought their first homes. They live on the same piece of property in two separate homes. They put 50 grand each down that they had earned in the stock market, and they're got, $300,000 in equity
versus $300,000 in debt.
Yes. And they own and operate a pool maintenance business over here. They have a great little solid book of business that they're growing, and they work different than you and I do. They work smarter.
Yeah.
They don't work harder, and that's part of that generation, that honestly, I really struggled with as a business owner when we were in business, is that whole concept of things are shifting. People, they don't want to work 60 or 70 hours a week. Like that's
what you employees, right? You employed a lot of people, and you're getting this feedback from employees. Like, I'm interested, but I have this, and this. I have these other priorities. Can this job fit into, with all these other different?
Yeah,
it's a different.
No, or the other one, is like, hey, after COVID, a lot of things change, and that's when we met up. That's when I think the wind was just a little out of my sails at that time, and my wife's, and we had ran really hard growing these stores. And the hard one was, hey, I'm not feeling it today. I won't be in. And you're like, you're not feeling it. It's like Saturday. We're going to do $18,000 worth of business today, and we need you. You're like a key person, and it's like just, yeah.
And there's not that common ground, right? They're just like, no, I'm just not coming in today. Well, figure it out. You know. I'll be there. I'll be there Monday.
Yeah. And I thought about, like, in my past background, when I worked for the insurance company, that our salespeople were all making 150 grand a year. So they were a little bit easier to leverage. Motivate. That's probably a more politically correct term than leverage.
It's an umbrella term. There's a lot that goes into that, but we're not going to talk about all the motivational tactics in the car sales industry. But
the employees in a minimum wage type of an environment, it's really difficult to figure out how they're motivated. And most of them, honestly, what we discovered is most people want to know their value. Like, it really is about getting kudos and pats on the back and those types of things. And honestly, that's probably my worst, being completely transparent. I'm probably the worst in the world at telling people good job. Just because I think I grew up through my life, I never got that really, from a father figure. And so I just figured out how to make it happen and, like, just do it for a different reason,
Right. Yeah. And that can be a big gap, because the generation that's now entering the workforce, that's probably their biggest, that's what they're looking for, right? It's not necessarily the money. Like, if you look at what, millennials and Gen Zs are looking for, like, money is like number 93 on that list.
Right.
It's
I'm doing the math and I'm like, you guys, you got to figure this out. It's not getting cheaper.
Right.
And it's not a scary world out there, because if you're resourceful, you can figure it out. Yeah. I keep telling Carmen we need to buy another business so Oliver can sell it.
Yeah. And then, we've talked about that many times, and we revisit the idea. But how did you get? Yeah, no, we'll find some for you. I know you still have the itch. You got the skill and obviously a lot to impart. And furthermore, I think that, still at this point, kind of, like, recipes for success. You can look at them and you can say they're outdated. They don't match, the values of today's generation. You do have success under your belt, whereas some of these other schools of thought really are just theoretical yet, right? Like, you don't really have to work hard to win. Yeah, some people have done it. Some people work smarter, work harder and never work hard.
Yeah.
But in many cases, I do think it's still theory. It hasn't been proven that you can run the world from your couch and from your phone. Right.
Some people can. For some
people can. Right. But if you're 18 and 19 and saying, I'm just going to figure out something where I don't have to be someplace, and then zeros and ones will kind of connect, and money will end up in my account. Some people can do it, but I think there's still more success in your court than there is at this point than the other side. But hey. How did you get in? How did the transition happen from car business and consulting, and then you exit that, and then you enter kind of the world of small business, right? And small business ownership, because you go from pretty big business to, to dialed in.
Yeah. And, an idea of, like, this company was based out of Eugene area. And, it was just to give an idea, like $100 million valuation on this big deal. And they took on an equity partner. After a decade, we quit from a 10 million to 100 million in a 10-year period. So it was a big run. We had a blast, awesome ownership, amazing work family. We worked hard and we did great. They took really good care of us.
How many people, what's the core group that's responsible for the 10X growth?
Oh, there were 40 employees likely. we owned and owned our own insurance company with our own actuarial department, our own claims department.
Mhm.
We really, from A to Z, it was a one-stop shop. And the local ownership, the generation help that we would give to the departments in there to help them learn how to maximize their opportunities and speak logic to customers so they could understand why yes is the right answer.
Right.
So that's what we did. But I was gone a lot. I was gone probably 3 nights a week for a decade, and that puts strain on a family. And Carmen became the dad and the mom, and then when I would get home, I was the dad, and it was confusing, for the kids. And she stayed at home.
And this is about like 20 decade, like between 20 years, 25 and 35, somewhere in that range.
Age-wise, no,
Yeah.
I was then 42 when I
So 30 to 40, that decade, you're running a big conglomerate, missing time at home. Some questions are starting to develop. Am I doing the right thing?
Yeah. And I was frustrated, and especially, as the acquisition kind of happened and the equity partner came in and, purchased it, we were managed out of an office in Atlanta. So if you kind of had managed, and this isn't me being negative, this is just me being transparent, black and white, is if you imagine you want to go camping this summer, and so you go buy a truck and a if you took the RV and you put it on the front of the truck, it would be backwards. And so it's kind of how I felt, and a lot of us felt, like we're being led by the trailer here. We're the company.
Yeah, cart before the horse type thing.
Yeah. So Carmen, for a couple of years, she's like, well, shoot, just leave. And that's hard to do.
I can see her saying that too. It's totally. Like she just has these like revelations, like, why don't we just do this? And it's like,
it doesn't like I'm logic and she's all faith. You know what I mean? And usually if I follow her, she, in her suggestions, they usually work out, And
so far so good. I wouldn't have that setting if I were you, honestly. You don't need to know why it works.
Yeah. So, I just kind of, as I'm driving 70,000 miles a year and flying several times a week to different towns and staying in hotels and eating, at the same restaurants all the time and whatnot. I don't know. I just was like, yeah, this sounds good. I'm going to take a couple of years off. I'm going to kind of semi-retire, see if I can make it on this little, pittance that has been created and get to know the kids and my wife in a family should, know each other and being home and hanging out, doing things. And literally, I think I played like, 14,000 games of Words with Friends, and don't laugh
at home.
I know I played you at chess, and that doesn't last. I was better at Words with Friends than I was.
And you're saying this is at home. You're better.
I'm just trying to stay, doing something, and
just staying sane.
Yeah, and I think it was about 45 days in. I told Carmen, I go, I can't. I'm 40 years. I can't like unplug. I'm not used to that, and we were doing triathlon at the time. So I was trying to focus on running and biking and swimming and doing all that type of stuff. But I'm a builder, I love creating. And so she's like, well, why don't you do something then? And so we got a whiteboard out in our living room. And for probably 60 days, we had, 50 to 100 ideas written on this board. And
like a family brainstorming session in the living room, just free associating business ideas.
And I'm mind, I'm just not really good at putting things into motion. So the weakness of mine is like I can come up with great ideas. I'm not very good at the next part. In order, but once that part's done, that's when I hop back in the like I can I'm just not good in the minutia of that.
Yeah, and I mean, I share that too. I mean, you're kind of a big picture concept guy, but throwing out ideas, and if someone's listening, a few of those are just gems, right? But you're spitting all 100 in a row. Which ones are gems? Yeah. It's a little unclear to decipher. But like, I'm with you to where my the main driver, my kind of entrepreneurial gene, whatever that is curiosity. Like people are like, well, you have to have the big why, why, like, to me, it's why not, right? Or what if, right? Yeah. Like those are my sort of drivers, and I like to get out there and put things and just try it, see what works.
You had a wildly successful business over in the Seattle area. And
correct. But from my family, from my mom and dad, and inherited the same philosophy. It was experimentation. Like we had a platform for experimenting, and there wasn't the need for long theoretical discussions of what ingredients, would work in the pastry, and I had a baking business. And, it was, let's just try it. Let's put it together, put it out there. If people buy it, then it's a good idea. If they go, that looks interesting, I'll get that next time. Yeah. It's probably not that great, right? Or maybe not. There's some room there, but it was trial and error, right? And curiosity driving it. Let's try this. And some of the things, and it's a wildly successful business. Some of the things that are items and concepts and ideas and things on the menu that are the most successful, I know their origin story. I can tell you exactly how they came about, right? It was just trial and error, and people always want to have some big story behind it. Like it was, this was your grandma's recipe and you carried it, for 15, you followed it exactly to a T. That's not what happens. Like you just try some stuff. Yeah. People go, oh, hey, this is good. Can you add that to mine? And you throw in, another ingredient, and the next person goes, wow, that looks good. I'll take that. But you don't do that unless you're experimenting in the live setting. You can't have that dynamic. Right?
Well, like this is rolled sourdough.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
12 days.
Yeah, maybe 12, 900, maybe, right? There's all these things that like, but ultimately it's down to just trying stuff and seeing what works, because if that recipe for success could be replicated, there wouldn't be so many failures in corporate America with unlimited budgets. Like there are businesses in chains, large chains of, 300 that open up and do nothing, and they have to be closed down. You would think that with all the research dollars, all the information, all the perfect locations, that they would do well, but they don't. They closed.
Well, yeah. I think part of the, I think the thing that people, they don't do is they don't have a why, and they don't, and because it's not easy. Mm-hmm. And, I know that when we had our bike shop, we're in state, and it gets cold in the winter, and you don't sell a lot of bicycles, in the winter. And so you have to understand that, gosh, in the springtime, this thing's going to take off, and we're going to be super busy. And I remember there were times when I think Carmen and I worked like 5 months straight every single day from ding to dong, every single day. And you would have an employee go, I've worked 5 days straight. I got to take a day off.
How do you like that for I'm not feeling it today? How about 5 months straight of not feeling it and still doing it every day?
Yeah. But we were having fun. Our why, when we, kind of going back to the whiteboard, we had all these ideas that were money-making ideas, like inventions that would just crush it. But we weren't able to connect with people. And we're people, and we serving people. And so our goal was to find something that we could do with the public, where we could, we wanted to challenge ourselves, really see, how this would work. We're, Christian people. We really believe that the door was open. The Lord opened the door for the opportunities. We're moving to a new community where we knew 2 families.
And this is you moving to Wenatchee.
Yeah, 2 we knew. And we were sitting in a restaurant when we had committed to Trek bicycles. And we were sitting in this restaurant that probably had 75 people in it, 100 people. It's busier ones.
What do you mean you committed to Trek? Like, what was the setting? Like, how do you end up in a restaurant committing to a business deal? What's that look
like?
We
committed to Trek, and then we had to go find a location to put the store in.
Okay.
And so we committed to Trek the middle of December, and then right after Christmas, we're driving to Wenatchee to find a location because we decided that's where we're going.
Mm-hmm.
And we found, which was across the street from the specialized retailer, had been there for 20 some years. And we're like, well, that's what Burger King does, right? They go where the McDonald's is because that's what you do when you want to make it happen,
Right. Go where the end is already.
Yeah. So that's what we did. But, and we'll get into that. But when we're in this restaurant that night, when we're like, okay, that's where we want to go, we're looking around the room and we're like, we don't know anybody in here, but it's weird because in 2 years, we'll know everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That was really strange, and that was opportunity, because when we first got there, we'd have customers come in and go, do you know that there's a bike shop right across the street?
And you go, no, we didn't notice.
I would just laugh. I'd go, well, yeah,
Yeah. By design. Yeah.
And we just and it was amazing what happened in that space. And we were in business there for 7 years. We ended up selling our store to Trek.
You built it up, and you basically, Trek buys it back as a franchise location.
Yeah, we actually ended up at the end of our season there. I think it was the 6th year. We became a top 100 Trek retailer in North America.
And you started in an empty space. I mean, I know that space. There was nothing there before.
Yeah, we started with one space, and then we acquired the space next to us, and we built it out. We cased out all the bikes like it was artwork, and the mountain bike room had, artwork on the wall as far as like painting and, clouds up above and trails that the bikes would be on. I mean, it was a cool place. People would come from all over. They'd hear about it. They'd check it out because it was just fun. We got tons of people from the West Side that would come over and do business with us because they love the environment.
And you were able to add some personality to, franchise location, which can be a little difficult, right? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a typical franchise. It's, we just represent their product. You become selected. You have to go through an approval process, but it's not like a standard, like, okay, back to McDonald's, like, the Egg McMuffin, you do them in this, or the muffin this long, and then here's your egg that you take out of a package and then heat up this, and then you wrap it up. You just sell their product.
And you got some autonomy and some sort of room to operate as an entrepreneur and manifest your own vision.
The opportunity came along as we're doing business and we're, disrupting the way that this small little town has always operated with, like a lot of small towns do. They, people support the local economy. Some of the attitudes might have been like, hey, you need to be grateful we're here. For us, we were flipped around. We were like, we are so grateful that you're here and we're going to prove it. You're going to get a hug when you come in, or you're going to, we're going to serve you. We're going to never say no. We're going to, basically love you. And it was odd.
We're going to love on you when you come in here.
Yes. Yeah. And it'll take time because at first you're going to think it's kind of weird, but then you're going to start coming in here because you don't know why you're here. You're just going to be here. And so
this happens every time.
Yeah. Yep. Consistent. And so about halfway, Dan and Cheryl, who used to own the shoe store, they approached us and said, hey, we'd love for you to buy our store. We're kind of in this transition. We're thinking about, our next steps. And we considered, and my wife was like, I just don't feel like right now is the right time. I think we need to, kind of keep going on this and get some people in place that, can help.
And this is, you said, like year 7 a year already in
your trip? No, this is probably year 5.
Okay.
Yeah. And so we stepped away from it. And a couple of years later, we're putting snowboards out in the winter room. We had a frozen, central kind of a frozen department in the store where we brought snowboards and boots and, all
it was called the frozen department of the bike shop.
It was called, heck did we call it? I didn't even want to start saying
the Arctic room.
Yeah, whatever. A little bit wrong with it. But they came back in to see what we were doing. And I asked Dan, this was probably December 10th. And I said, are you guys still wanting to sell your store? And he goes, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready? And I said, I haven't talked to Carmen for quite a long time about it, but I think we might be ready. And at the end of the year, we were done, and we were in there January 1st doing business, or 2nd.
And how does that overlap with, I mean, they come to you, they say, hey, the store is doing so well, we'd like to buy it, or, I mean, how does that interaction go?
Yeah. So that was kind of, we had a manager that we approached about, purchasing it, and kind of didn't really come together or come to fruition on that. And then we just kept doing business. But what had happened is when we bought the shoe store, I went and worked at the shoe store. Carmen ran the bike shop. And it's just it was difficult to operate, with one person, especially the way that we operated it. And we just felt like, and her health was starting to kind of deteriorate. She has some rheumatoid arthritis issues. Stress kind of activated a lot of that pain. And so she was not loving life. And so we just kind of got to the point where we really felt like the best call for us at the time was to approach Trek and see if they had any dealers that were interested in expanding into an amazing opportunity in Wenatchee. And well, they said, well, we're actually interested if you want to talk. And so I think it took about 8 months or so of kind of talking about it. Then all of a sudden they're like, we're ready to go if you're ready. We're like, well, kind of, and really, I loved it.
It's like, window of opportunity opens up. I mean, you got to kind of walk through it or not. It's not going to stay open forever. And
so then, when that closed, Carmen and our office manager Rochelle came to the bike shop, and we just kept plowing ahead and grew that thing a lot.
Yeah, I mean, when you bought Performance Footwear, I mean, it was a great business. It was well known, but it was kind of, but it wasn't doing anything spectacular, right? It was solid. People loved it. It was, where you went, and everybody in Wenatchee knew it. But you come in, seemingly same location, same product, but you more or less double the numbers in a little over 2 years.
Yeah.
How does that happen? Huh?
It's the same model. We care for people. We don't know, and that costs you money, but we don't advertise. Like we don't, we're not.
You had no marketing budget,
Nothing.
Yeah.
You were like, how are you doing this with like $300 a month?
Well, it wasn't just me. I mean, we interacted with many buyers, and these questions, kept coming. Hey, here's this retail. It's a great business. We understand. But how does something like that, well, how old, it was around for 15, 20 years when you bought it?
20-ish. Yeah.
Something like that, right? And then you hockey stick,
Yeah.
Trajectory, you scale it. How do you do it in that short amount of time, even with the changes of the business model and company culture? But you are getting into some of these kind of, I guess, more difficult, kind of advanced entrepreneurial concepts, because
they're not. I mean, really, it's what everybody's looking for, an opportunity like you and I, we like to grow things. And so why I would salivate is, I would go in, look at their inventory. I would get feedback on customer, treatment, because we're just 2 blocks down the road. So what's going on everywhere. And I'm looking at it like this is a slam dunk opportunity with our model, and just buying more inventory and creating more options. It's a great little town with people that want to support local. There are online buyers and whatnot, but I mean, they really want to have a place to go and experience a shopping, visit. And so that's all we did, is we just, put in the mix our design, which is okay. So I learned this at the meat shop that I worked at in high school. Because
here we go. We're
I always wondered, how come when you have the meat case, when there's 2 steaks left on a rack they'll sit there for 3 hours on a crazy busy Saturday. People are just all over the place. But you cut new steaks and you stack them 3 high, those will sell like that.
Yeah. And the two that would have been there sell in the next 5 minutes.
Right. And they did. And so I caught that, put it in my pocket. I was like, it's all about the inventory. People they genuinely want to of a situation. So they look at the stack of steaks and they think, that's a lot of steaks. I got to help these guys out. I'm going to buy some.
You think it's their better nature that
I have no idea.
You
I have no
okay.
idea. But we started and stocked the bike shop with a lot of inventory, and we served people. And they didn't have certain sizes. Women, like they would go up to size 10 in a few pairs. Well, we had size 11s in almost every item that we had. That's a big shoe. But you know what? The size 11s didn't shop there because they knew that they didn't have the inventory. So we just opened up a new avenue.
I mean, how do you change public perception though? Like if a business has a certain image, there's kind of a brand identity, right? Yeah. I mean, this is a great place, but this is what they do and this is what they don't do, especially in a smaller town. It can take a while for, once people make up their mind, it can take a while to change. Other than one customer at a time coming in, how do you let them know that this business is now different?
The newspaper would do write-ups. The radio would have me on live once a month, just talking about life, kind of like what we're doing right now. For a season, we did unsold inventory in the beginning with the radio station because there's not a TV station here. We get TV from Spokane and Seattle. And so radio is kind of a big deal. And I bought unsold inventory and we'd get 3,000 spots a month on, the biggest radio group here in town. And so the word got out pretty quick on what was going on, those ways, but we just had favor. I mean, people, they experience this thing. Like, let's look at Nordstrom. You remember when you used to go into Nordstrom and you used to actually get this amazing service? People would drive.
I do remember those days. Yeah, I miss them.
Yeah. Well, people will drive to your house to show you the outfit. Well, what does that create? Obligation. So like at the shoe store, we sit and fit every customer. Like you don't just come in and, I'd like to buy these shoes. And I know this is like all the salespeople are listening to this are going to be like, well, then you take it to the register. No, we would take the shoes out, make sure they fit their feet and let them walk around and make sure that that's not going to come back as a return because it doesn't feel right or they're too small or too big or too wide or whatever the thing is. It's the experience. And when you sit and fit somebody and you take 10 or 15 or 30 minutes with somebody and you try on 4 or 5 or 6, 7 pairs of shoes patiently, it creates an obligation. They feel like, I'm going to support these guys because they supported me. And that's kind of
you went as far as doing, gait analysis and making sure that the shoe fits and some of them were kind of more medical and you were contracting, I think, orthopedic local hospital and you were fitting the the kind of shoes for crews and fitting people in different professions. It really depended on a quality shoe fit. That's not something you get out of a ordinary shoe store, right? That's
well, we worked with one of the podiatrists in town, like the main podiatrist, and he trained us. He would
so podiatrist came. Oh, I remember he came in and a podiatrist trained your sales staff. Okay.
Yeah. So we learned about podiatritis and bunions and things that cause people pain, and we listened. And so we actually got to the point where people would call his number to schedule an appointment because they had heel pain. And after a few questions on the phone from the front desk, they would say, give yourself $300, go down to Performance Footwear. You likely have plantar fasciitis and they know what to do.
So you became kind of the medical community and you were the fulfillment center for the local.
Because they want to do real work. They didn't want to, We had rules, we had agreements, and we knew the guidelines they were supporting us on. And when we had questions, we would call or we'd send them back. But there were certain shoes we weren't allowed to sell to those people that don't have the support, types of things. So anyway, yeah.
I mean, and they would walk. I mean, I remember they'd walk in the store, right? And you'd actually watch, and they go, "I love these shoes," and you would go, "Well, these are not the right shoes for you," right? And you get them into something else. But again, you have 7 opportunities to just take them to the register and ring them out, but you don't because you want to do it right.
Yeah. So COVID changed a lot of things in the environment and a lot of the mentalities, I think, of the customer base and the way people would treat people. And it also changed the scope of our town and demographic because a lot of people were moving here, and it just changed the funness. That's a word, for us, because people that were moving in didn't want the hug. They didn't want the care. They just wanted to be left alone. And that's just not our model. So we just had to reach the difficult point of like, look, could keep beating our head up against the wall. We would have people come in and you'd be trying to help and they would go, you can just run along. I got this. I'll let you know if I have any questions. And it's like, well, you want to say, well, probably not the place for you to shop because that's not how we do business. There's other options, but it won't be here. You can't do that. So you just have to kind of swallow your pride and move on and say, well,
and take their money, right? So which would be, the end all be all for many operators, but it didn't quite fit this model, which we touched on this in I think if you remember in conversations with potential buyers, because the question was always, is online retail going to come and destroy performance footwear and all of brick and mortar with it? Because, the modern day religion of the consumer is convenience often, right? And it's, price shopping, price and convenience. And if those two match, then, then they buy. And I think you'd said something to the effect of, service and knowledge and product knowledge will be delivered in a corrugated box, at your front porch. So we're safe. The proof is in the pudding, and we had the numbers to prove it. But there was again that like sort of double take of what's happening here. And I mean, you leaned into the business model ultimately, and the company culture at the time, which was challenged by COVID. But even during COVID, I mean, for all the restrictions, which if you remember kept changing, you had people in there with masks and keeping distance and doing all these things just so they could try on a pair of shoes at your store. Which they could have ordered at an online retailer.
Yeah, totally. And I think, I still am a firm believer in customer service and how, and that's just such a loose term, customer service. Like, what does that even
What does that mean? Yeah.
It's like truly serving people. And that's where that word that's where it originated. Customer service was serving. And I think it's a lost art, and I'll give you an example. We have a home down in Arizona, been to it.
Yeah, we celebrated the win down there.
Yeah. We got fired from our landscaper a few weeks ago.
Does that happen? Is that possible?
I didn't know that it did, but we did. And how it happened was I called him and I asked him if he would come and take a look at the job that was done and wonder why, we have this cactus that's leaning up against our golf cart garage. And then there's another, the tree coming into another saguaro we have. And just a lot of, I couldn't get to the barbecue because the bush was being continued to grow over and over and over. And so he said, yeah, we'll definitely address this. And then a couple of weeks later, I'm looking and I'm like, nothing was taken care of that we talked about. And he said, you're probably going to want to find another landscaper because I can't get my guys to do what I'm asking them to do. Oh, okay. That's been like a 2-year relationship. We're pretty low maintenance. We're only there half the year, and so
different business model, different understanding of word service, clearly, right?
Could you imagine me doing that? I would be
No,
over there
no.
myself. Herman and I would have our gloves on and our saw or whatever the heck it is that night fixing the problem.
Yeah.
This guy is like, well, I'm up in Flagstaff. I'll be down in next week. I'll see if I can, go through the job with those guys. Never did. It's just different.
I mean, both of you were at the store all night counting inventory. I mean, we all were, but there was no, or somebody else will do it, or it just got done.
It was at a time. I miss those days. I missed that store.
Yeah.
Yeah, I miss that store. Carmen threatens me if I, do another business. She says she's going to get a cat, and so I don't know. I've been looking at cats.
I think you're always. Sometimes I hear it in your voice when we talk, and it's like, okay, this is probably two strong headwinds in the direction of like he's going to buy something. He's going to get back out there.
Likely. I don't know.
I mean, what is it about, general, like entrepreneurship and if you saw, the I guess the poster or the label, it has a bottle on it. And on the bottle are ingredients of entrepreneurship. And it has different words and different ingredients. Some of them are, things like moxie, irreverence, and passion, and curiosity, and drive, and patience, and all of these things. And I tried to put it together, and I realized that I'm trying to formulate something that really isn't ever going to be, that you can't really put in a bottle, right? It's never the same. The recipe isn't ever the same. The ingredients for me are a little different than for me. It's kind of like if entrepreneurship would be the person, it'd be a wild animal or a free spirit or, something like that. So, I mean, what is it about continually wanting to get out there, continuing to bet on yourself rather than, trying to count up your vacation days or retirement benefits or corporate culture?
Yeah.
You're saying, okay, what else can I do? What else can I start? What else can I buy? Where, okay, it's risk, right? Where can I take another risk?
Yeah.
Why is it that you're thinking that way versus someone else thinking conservatively, and trying to different mindset? What makes an entrepreneur tick?
Well, I think you can, an easy cop out is for purpose,
Purpose.
And it isn't. I mean, this is kind of a overrated term, I think, and it's kind of a cop. There's so many angles to that answer.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have to kind of go back to, like for me, my childhood, and there were things that drove me when I was younger, with financial things. I think I graduated in a high school like 328 students, and I think I was like the 324th. I just wasn't. I hated school.
In terms of grades and performance, like academically, you were bottom of the ladder.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I don't know if I was 324th. I'm being a little funny, but I graduated with a 2.83 grade point average in high school.
Okay.
And that's not great, but the thing is I've been smart. I've always been sharp. Mm-hmm. And so, when I see an opportunity, I can do the math really quick and it makes sense. And then I get excited because I know we have the secret sauce, which isn't super secret because we told everybody what we did and we still do. It's just that we also have the endurance to make it happen. I've told you stories, some of the that our employees would do, or some of the things that happen to us from our employees, just like, wow.
Yeah.
That, because we just, they knew why we were there.
Mm-hmm.
It was to serve our community, but it just not everybody can adapt to that model.
And I think it comes, it's the understanding, like there's a term of service, right? And what does that mean? But also, and that's another term, like what is the of success, right? It's how much what are you willing to do?
Yeah.
Right. And you hear, and you, when you maybe sometimes you hire people, sometimes talk to other entrepreneurs, but how many times have you heard this from a potential employee who's coming in saying, look, I really want this job. I'm 100% in, I'm committed. I got this thing on Tuesday night, this other thing on Thursday morning, and then I'm leaving on vacation. And I'm going on this trip with my buddies, which we do every year in the summer. But like, other than that, I'm all in. And it's
Right.
like, well, you just told you're not all in. And they go, no, I am. I'm really committed. This is completely different understanding of what commitment and means, and what you're willing to up.
Yeah.
Right. For success.
Yeah. And I think, I don't know that I really your question. I think, for me, I'm just a grower and a builder. And I don't know that the money has ever been a big driver for me, but I love numbers. I love making money. I don't really love the money, if that makes sense. You
hate spending it. I know that.
I hate spending it. I will absolutely agree. I mean, we definitely, likely are fine the rest of our life, unless there's some catastrophic thing that happens. But so, and we're super conservative, we don't spend a lot. And so, but I love growing, and I love growing numbers.
And that part is separated from the dollar figures. I mean, that's a passion. The numbers are.
Yeah.
Growing something
is fun.
Building something, right?
Now, don't get me wrong. It's not, you could also not throw the money in, and then I probably would lose interest because I know I can make it, right? So you could grow at our business and I'm not pay it because you like no, I want to get paid.
But you aren't going to sit with a spreadsheet, and this is very common today, is and model everything. Here's what's going to happen year one. Here's year two. Here's the dollars and cents. You feel like, I guess the question is, how important is your gut and trusting your instinct?
Most of it.
Most of it. That's you.
Yeah.
You know something is right and it's going to work. The degree to which it's going to work isn't that important at the outset. It's either a good idea or it isn't, right?
I can look, like when we bought the shoe store, it was all on, this handwritten ledger, and you just have to trust when you look at the numbers, you're like, we can definitely do more than that. I mean, I don't,
I don't have to put Excel to tell you that this is pencil, right?
Yeah. For this price.
Or compute.
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be.
Yeah. Like right now we're in the middle of buying a building in town with a entrepreneur who is a serial entrepreneur, and he and his foundation buy businesses. And, I wish that I would have known he did this when we were selling ours, because it would have been a great acquisition for him for sure. But he just bought a company and needs a retail facility. And so he found the building and called and said, do you want to own this? And we own another corner that he's going to be starting a lease on in January for a different business. And so it's like, I look at the numbers. I haven't even been in the building. Like it's just the numbers work and location where it's at. I know what's going on around that little neighborhood. And so it's a no-brainer acquisition for us. I don't go into, call me naive or whatever, but I'll go into the building. I'm looking at, we'll have it checked for mold and all those types of things, but it's just a gut feeling. I believe in them. I believe in their abilities, and I like the rent that.
Yeah, I think that's a critical part. That's, if I had to pick the one thing that's missing in sort of the entrepreneurial model in general, and, I use the term these days, is the trust, feeling, and the instinct, which comes from experience, a lot of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not something that it's a little bit of a 22 where you have to do some stuff and maybe fail at some things and develop, that sense. But what we're doing with a lot of the time in kind of the world of buying and selling and mergers and acquisitions is this over analysis, this over subscription to this ever growing data capable world, right? You can plug anything into anything and get some result that says, this is what it is. It's 3.79, add another 85 digits. And this is given to you, someone with, maybe some success and sort of alphabet soup after their name, right? but it still isn't the end all, right? It can't be the determining factor of a business, and it's important, but you can analyze something over and over at a certain point. You have to get out there and do it. Yep. And, if you're taking advice and it's good to get information, listen to this and read. Again, at the end of the day, you are still passively consuming content and somebody else's experience. At a certain point, the value of it is go out there and do it, learn by doing, apply what you learned, but otherwise you're always on the outside in and you have all the information, you see all the angles, but you never play a hand.
Yeah. And live like a pauper.
Yeah.
You're making. I mean, and create opportunities and create a flow that can't be broken. You know what I'm saying? And so,
what do you mean by that? A flow that can't be broken?
Well, a lot of people, I was going to say this earlier, but a lot of times you'll get an affluent person that you're doing business with, and if you are selling something, for example, and maybe the income of that job is less than, and that affluence sometimes creates some arrogance where they feel like they're better. And there's been many years of my life, I know what a lot of affluent people make, like what somebody would consider an affluent person, maybe like a $350K a year person. Maybe that's an affluent person. And, there were a lot of years that I was generating more income than them, and they were thinking I was not.
Yeah.
So they treat you different. But the thing is,
because you didn't have the attitude to go with it and the entitlement. So they immediately assumed that if you were making more, you would be an a-hole.
Right. Yeah. so the live like a pauper is like live the way I grew up, like don't live above your means, because it's not about the money you make. It's about the money you save. You can make as much as you want to make, but if you spend it all, it's worthless, and so the efforts that you're putting into your day to day, it really has, at the end of the day, it's not the money you make, it's the money you save, because it's what you're going to be able to use down the road to either start an opportunity, a business, or buy a property, or go on a cruise, or have a baby, or whatever.
Yeah. No, I mean, a penny saved is a penny earned, for sure. And that also is maybe missing a little bit, because it's all about growth and scaling and growth at any cost. Right, is how do I get from 5 million to 10 million and then to 20 million?
Yeah, I have 100 million.
Yeah.
Warren Buffett, how do you become a millionaire? Warren Buffett says, buy $2 million in airline stock.
Yeah. How do you make a small in an XYZ industry? You start with a large fortune.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Well, so is entrepreneurship is it a character trait, a character flaw? Is it learned behavior? Is it genetic? I mean, it seems like to you, it's what you learned early on, and your upbringing shaped you, and that's kind of your lens on it.
Yeah, I loved DECA in high school. DECA was
I know the organization.
It's such a great, and Brock. Forget Brock's last name, but Brock was our teacher. This was back in the 80s, and he just made it fun. He wasn't actually a teacher. He just came in and taught DECA. He did for work, but he taught every day, and he made it fun. He really did. He kind of the dream. And my buddy Scott and I created this heated toilet seat. So when you'd lift up the
So this is what, like 11th grade in you're a junior in high school or something?
Yeah, but you'd lift the thing up and the coils would on the heat, and it was kind of.
I think they stole your idea since then, and there's $10 market cap in heated toilet seats right now.
Yeah, it's kind of like now they're probably making them out of the force deals because they can put the coils in there or something. This was the padded kind that you'd find at your grandma's house. That would slice into and warm it up.
But so you guys put this thing, and did it any traction? Like, did you at least get like an award in NECA for it? Did people vote for it?
No. Yeah. I mean,
no, we don't have a toilet seat at our house at all. We just right.
Yeah.
No need for it.
Now we just sit on those little heat pads that you pull out of the package. You warm it up, and no.
Yeah, no, they'll come away. And again, it's that idea of and religion of convenience and comfort, right? I mean, that's a lot of consumers is how quickly can I get it? How little do I have to do for it? The price matters, but that's sort of like, what can I get delivered to my house in the next 12 hours?
Right.
Just ordering. Yeah.
Yeah.
What would you do? I mean, if you were out there starting out, you had a runway of 25, 30 years. What businesses are you starting today?
Yeah.
What are you investing your time into?
Yeah. We just were talking this on our drive. We just drove back up to Washington for the holidays, and we're talking a little bit about that, because I don't know that retail would be, although I think retail is fun. It's the way you can connect with a lot of people. I just don't know that today I have the patience for it anymore,
and that's good to know too, right? You got to know what you don't want to do, right?
And I'm a little concerned. I have a philosophy on where retail's going, and with
what is it? What is your philosophy?
I think that the manufacturers. One of the frustrations that I had was all manufacturers going online and becoming our competitor. And so what I'm doing, like, just take the shoe store, the bike shop, for example. I'm stocking my shoes with your product, and then I'm representing your product. I'm investing the time and the dollars and the energy to sell that product, and then you have products that I can't even get available on your website, and then people just go on there and order it.
And this is a shoe brand who has done
any of them,
stock market, et cetera. Yeah,
all of them do this, And so where I really believe, and we're a ways there. There's a couple pieces that I believe in. One of them, offline, I'll kind of tell you some thoughts that I've been having on one market itself. Would be phenomenal.
Generally, I mean, what is the of this industry?
I think what's going to happen is retailers are going to become try your honor facilities. So let's take Hoka, for example. Our biggest brand at the shoe store, one of the biggest in the nation. Let's just say Hoka pays us $200,000 a year to be the representation for their product, and as shipping, breaks down to 12 hours. This afternoon, you could have this at your door, or tomorrow afternoon. The quicker they can get this going, the faster this is going to.
As a consumer, or as a retail business, or as a distributor?
Yeah, your new retail business, I think, would be where you form all these relationships with these vendors, and you become the try-on place, so that people can feel it. They order it right there. It gets shipped to their house, and you're paid by the yearly fee to house their inventory. And
based on your volume, I mean, it's a 6-figure number of some sort, or?
Yeah, possibly. I mean, the only problem is, where does the service go? You know what I'm saying? Like, well, I've already gotten paid, so I'm sure that there would be stipulations to it and whatnot, but I don't know. I think that that's possible, that, that could definitely happen.
In the consumer's mind of a retail product, is buying something online, trying it on, sending it back if it doesn't work, the same value as going into the store to try it on?
Oh, totally. Yeah. I mean, we know people that's what they do. They order, 10 shoes and 8 of them back.
And it's free shipping, and labels are in there, and it's.
Yeah, I think in theory, that's all theory. It's not, like backed. It's just in a the mindset of the customer and where they're at, and as you stated, the whole way that has changed things, I think that it would be valuable. It would keep the local business owner intact. It would satisfy the line for the company that's in the product to the retailer, and they don't have to carry inventory. Like, you eliminate that whole thing, and all you do is have a group of people that let you try on those pants, or drive that car, or sample that cereal.
You're basically your brick and mortar dressing room.
Yeah.
For the manufacturer.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a very glamorous role. I would say that's a downgrade. Like, you're just on, and okay, we just need you to peddle this product. When the face-to-face interaction, the stuff we don't want to deal with, we just want to slap a label on it, charge the card, and send it.
I mean, honestly, it feels like that sometimes. We would put into the try on and the energy and the excitement and our whole process, and then you'd see somebody go out to their car and get on their phone right there and order their item and drive away. And it's like, I wouldn't be able to do that.
That is sort of a disappointing of the whole business concept, right? If you see that full circle, you just did it. Like, they walk out and they just go, okay. You look at that and you go, I don't know how many times over I could see this take place before I'm out, right?
Thankfully, again, as I said earlier, like, we have an amazing community of people that supported us 99.9% of the time. But even that one that got away, I'd get frustrated, because I'd be like, oh gosh, we just, what? I'll be back.
Yeah, I remember you got frustrated with me because I went and bought something at the store the day after the transaction closed.
I know. Well, I was the one that like, I was like, why didn't you?
I was like, sorry. I was just at home. I was staying in the house too. I came back with the story like, you went there and bought it.
Well, how are things going?
You got a competitive, you got a streak in you. So.
Oh, that's for sure.
Yeah.
How are things going? I mean, how are business? Are a lot of things available out there? Not enough inventory?
Things are available. There's enough inventory. I think everybody's a little more selective. There's probably, 3 or 4 things happening on a grander scale with what's happening in the world geopolitically and trade tariffs and some of the monetary policy stuff, stateside, and interest rates, that there's just uncertainty. So I'd say all businesses are still trading, and the Main Street and the middle market businesses, family-owned businesses, privately held companies. But it's changing. Environment's never the same, because it's always, every day you wake up, it's some combination of factors that we all know, but they haven't almost never kind of not ever the same at that time. It's like the Rubik's Cube, where you know the size and the colors, but every time you flip it, it's something a little bit different. So, or a chess position is that way too, right? It's like it's just a different chess position. And but I think there is one of the things you mentioned is that the change towards the hands-on kind of trade businesses, and people wanting to do what they call, they give it, the boring, I'm just looking for a boring business, right? Something that just services a need that doesn't, and then there's generally, and then the other trend is the emergence of AI, and, the kind of the entire career fields, just jobs, hundreds of thousands, which, many of the large kind of giants, you've seen the layoffs. I mean, they're not small layoffs. They're, 5-6 figure slashes in the workforce. So a lot of kind of experienced, very knowledgeable, very smart professionals exiting. And some of them kind of towards the later stage in their career, they may have 5-10 years left, but they're not sure that they'll have their job. because things are changing so quickly, you know, and the rate of AI is, I think most people would agree, much faster than anybody imagined.
Yeah.
And so there's that happening. We're trying to get into a business that run for, you know, another 10, 15 years and then sell it for retirement.
Yeah.
Right? So,
yeah. And I think, you know, I kind of question, you know, again, I'm a kind of an outside thinker. Like I think AI, probably if I was in my 20s and I had a plan, I would probably be like, shoot, I've got to do something different, you know, like a service industry, you know, like I need to get in HVAC, or I need to become an electrician, or I want to do something.
If when you were was on the horizon, that would be your thought pattern.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to get into a service industry, like my kids, you know, and their pool business and whatnot. I'm going to get into something that you can't, you know, computers aren't going
to outsource. You can't.
Yeah. In some time. And, you know, and then again, on top of that, I look at like, you know, this is the danger, I think, in where we led our youth over the last decade, and where the internet's kind of screwed that up, I think, for us. Again, service industries or just serving people, as you stated earlier, it doesn't happen online. AI cannot serve people. And so if you
it's trying real hard,
but it won't. I think, you know, a lot of these people, in answering the why, and if the fear is the AI, it's like, how can I redevelop myself into someone who cares? And I'm not just in here doing a thing. I'm actually going to be the best at it because I believe that I'm going to bring more quality. So now
I love that. I mean, well, that's a tall order. Like, listen to, how can I turn myself, again, it's now on you, into someone who cares, right?
Yeah, right. And how do I see myself as more valuable and more of an asset? Because there's companies out there everywhere that are looking for people that are like that, right? They're not looking for a number or a robot. They're looking for somebody who has heart and grit, and they want to grow. And there's business owners looking for partners that, you know, honestly, if we could have found somebody that we really, truly, I mean, that's hard. I'm there because I don't know that I could.
Yeah.
Never mind. But scratch that. Cut that out of this little conversation that we're having.
Well, finish the sentence. Find someone like you who could run the business.
Yeah. I've always wanted to have a lot of businesses. I don't think I am the right, and you could ask everybody who's worked, I guess, for me. I probably don't fit that deal. I'm really bad areas, and one of them is just, you know, walking away and
yeah, I mean, and it's hard to delegate yourself. You are kind of uniquely capable at doing you, right? And you've kind of perfected that art, and you've found, because everybody is uniquely capable at, you know, doing me or yourself, but not everybody trusts it to the degree that you do.
Yeah.
So they're trying to do something or someone else.
Yeah.
Right. Ultimately, it's, can you do you, and through thick and thin, you know, and trust it.
Yeah.
And in business, probably, I mean, I think you touched on it, and this is just a very valuable nugget. It's like, you can do everything right, and you can be polished, which is AI is great. You can put together a business plan, but if you're not different in some way in today's world, you know, and it can be a little quirky different, it can be, right, but you have to be different to be memorable. Otherwise, you're just a drop in the sea of all this sameness.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right.
Because there's a lot of this sort of polished, everything is perfect. We've got the phone and the website, and you can call and there's an answering, and we'll ship it away, and we'll follow up with you, and you know, we'll do, like, all of this happens, but it's, everybody's doing that. So what are you doing that's different? And the only way, I think, entrepreneurially, that you can get there is to be authentic and try and just put yourself out there as a person and as an entrepreneur. And your entrepreneurship and your concept becomes an extension of you.
Yeah.
And that's a unique business. I don't know if that's scalable, because ultimately every time you scale, as you know, you're asked to cut that out. It's like, stop doing these unique things that only you can do. You're the bottleneck. We need to reduce you. We need to make sure that, you know, everybody can do what you do. And somehow that's the recipe for growth, right? And that's kind of that's the tough part.
Well, and as the evaluation stage when you were valuing our business, one of your things was, look, you guys will be a missing component. And that is really, if you would have been able to step away from your business and say, hey, we can operate at these kind of numbers without you guys, your company is so more valuable than it is. You know what I mean? And so it is kind of a learning lesson too, that's something I learned that from you. It was like, how could have I been better at stepping away? We had awesome employees. It wasn't like they weren't capable. It was me capable. But how could have I interfered with myself and said, hey, you're just going to have to figure out how to learn how to like this and do this forever? Or if you're wanting to sell your company, this is going to make it more valuable, because when I walk away, it won't even matter. Nobody cares if I'm there or not.
And it's so counterintuitive to an owner founder. It's like, how do I make myself smaller or go away? Like, how do I take myself out of the equation of the company that I built, right? And it's very difficult for many owners. In industry terms, this is real popular now. They call it owner dependency, and it's probably become even more highly rated as an element of attractiveness in the business since you and I talked. Because a buyer is looking at it in an highly owner dependent business, they're looking at it as a job, even a highly paid job. If you're having to work and it doesn't work without you, or you being absent is a big risk, then it's really a job. It's not a business, right? Or it's less of a business because of it, I should say. So you can understand the buy side perspective, but also, if you're buying a small business, you get the other side of it where, someone's buying a business like yours, and you've met some of these people, and their first priority to how do I myself out of the equation? How does it just run without me and make me money, right? Whatever the widget is that you're selling doesn't matter to me. I don't care.
Yeah.
How do I just collect the pay, and does it pencil financially? And that's dispiriting to an owner founder like you, or anybody who's built something from a ground up. And I always don't represent the buyer, but I dissuade them from this narrative of, I'm here to grow and scale. Great job building the business. I'm here to blow it up. I'm the big picture guy, not going to be there, not going to run any, don't really care who your employees are. Well, I'll meet them once or twice. It's like this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. And it's just it doesn't inspire anybody, even though if that is the reality sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's even hard for me to wrap my head around that, even though I know the big picture would be like, I'd love to have my hand in several businesses and be kind of involved in, meetings or whatever, and just kind of get excited about the growth of it. But it just, I would have to get involved, and, somebody calls in sick, I'm there, or somebody's going, and it's like, I can't think there's a customer that just walked in and walked out because nobody was there to help them. That's different.
Keeps you up at night. I remember that. You did bleed for, and you would spin on that stuff. The only thing that would take you out of it is a dip in Columbia River. I remember the cold water, and it was after one of those like real stressful meetings, and we were spinning, and it was like, let's just go do this. And honestly, it's one of the happiest. Like, you were not the happiest at that time, but you were at kind of a higher register of just blissfulness. You were, freezing your ass off in the Columbia because you couldn't think about any of this other stuff.
Yeah, I've been doing a cold water swimming down in Arizona, because we don't, heat the pool, and it's not cold like the cold we were in. It's, I think it's 2 degrees or something. But it's very warm for you. It's probably what you take your showers in, 62. But
I'm not extreme. I'm probably, my temp is probably 45 to 50 is where I consider, cold therapy. I don't think that, the Instagrammable, the ice with an axe and then getting in there, like, you don't need to do all that. That's all.
I'd be afraid I would get under the ice, and then the drift would take away, and I'd be, I should have some type of way to breathe under here.
So you're doing a little pool
dip in there 5 minutes or whatever, and a little sun or whatever.
Well, so you build it, right? Performance footwear is successful. You build it, it's running, and we kind of got into this transition stage, and then you sell it.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and this is changing, but the model is you buy or build a successful business, you run it till you retire, and then maybe the kids take it or you sell it to someone else.
Yep.
And now, more and more people are, entering and exiting businesses and taking sabbaticals and taking early retirements, re-entering business ownership. But still, I would say the question to you, and this comes up a lot, why sell a successful business?
Yeah. Well, it came up on our, with the prospects that came to the table on ours, because it doesn't make sense. I think you just are in a point in your life where you just like, I kind of reached a pinnacle. I'm a grower. When I feel kind of at the point where I'm kind of topped out a little bit, I know we could still grow it. We could buy another, facility. We could initiate the same processes. We could buy another facility. I mean, that's the growth, but you're limited on your population, types of things. So they're all factors. And I think most people this is the answer is most people want a business at that stage when I'm ready to be done with it.
And that's the crux of the question, right? It's very counterintuitive. What makes you want to be done with it versus someone else who can't wait to get their hands on it?
I think I get bored. It's like, it's grown. We've kind of maxed we've squeezed it as much as we can within reason. Obviously, there's always growth. There's always ways. There's different ideas that I'm not smart enough probably to even understand. We could have stepped away and let the leadership that was in the store run it. They would have done a great job. But I think, again, it's proof what I said earlier. It's like, I'm a numbers guy. I don't really care about the money as much as I care about, the numbers and the growth and this. I kind of want to see this going on. I don't like these things. I don't like the threat even of happening.
You don't want to be president for too long when it's just doing this.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm interested in
yeah.
We do, Carmen and I, we are in face-to-face business that we're in, and it involves naturopathic doctor formulated supplements. And for the last year and a half, we've been, meeting people and showing them the product. And we just recently were like, this is hard. It's hard because everybody's got supplements. You can get them at the store. Everybody's selling something, all that type of thing. So you have to have something special, and people aren't going to know that it's special until they try it. And so what came up was like, we've got to talk about the opportunity. And so this is the mindset. This is the adjustment to kind of answer your question. Maybe this answers it. I don't know if it does or doesn't.
It's great stuff.
But it's like the fun, the growth aspect. So that's kind of the answer is like, for me, if I'm not growing and we're not adding, want to take this on, I lose interest. And but if you can come up with a new way to present it and it piques interest, I'm excited. It all boils down to that. Like, if
do you have to work that within yourself, or is that, have that within the business?
Well, no,
is there you have to kind of dig within yourself and you're the bottleneck and you need to that resource within you versus leaving the business?
No, it's completely teachable in a matter of, and that's the thing. It's just like I got hit with a 2x4 in my face. Like, everybody wants an additional $500 to $1,000 a month, and if you can easily provide that for somebody or teach them how to do it, it's kind of a no-brainer. Everybody wants that. So why have I been talking about something? It takes the products to afford the opportunity, but if you focus on the opportunity, it changes the way people's brains link in, because they're like, shoot, I can easily.
And are you able to do that successfully? Are you able to change someone's mind in 30 seconds about something that they felt completely different about?
Yeah. Yeah. If I called you and I said, hey, Oliver, we're representing, some naturopathic doctor formulated supplements. Here's what they do. I did it. And you're like, great, awesome for you guys. I love it.
You look fantastic, by the way. You're a great spokesperson for the brand. I think you look more and more energized than you did, a few years ago when you were running the business. So that's.
Oh yeah, no, I had bags under my eye. No, but But if you can turn it and not even talk about that, and I can say if there were a way that I could easily show you how to add an additional $500 to $1,000 a month to your income, would you want to know about it? So I've asked a question that everybody's going to answer yes to, and it opens the door to have the conversation. And yeah, numbers work out easily if you buy in. But that's to answer your question.
Yeah, no, and I mean, and to get the next venture, but what I think was interesting about your reasoning is, and again, it takes a little bit of kind of introspecting and a little bit of character to understand that I may not be the best person at this point to lead this company anymore. Again, like along that same vein, for an owner to realize, hey, I need to start taking myself out of the equation. One of the reasons for sale, and some of the common reasons, as could be retirement, it could be health, it could be, conflict. Any of those are reasons for sale. One could be, hey, the company is in a place where it needs to grow, and I'm not the best person to do it.
Yeah,
it has outgrown better, in someone else's hands. It may need additional talent, additional capital, some fresh ideas, fresh energy, right? Yeah. New legs, fresh legs. I think that's very valuable. One of the mistakes that we see is owners wait too long.
Yeah,
right? They just wait too long because they can't come around to this reason that's kind of been in front of them for quite some time now, right? That it's time to move on.
Well, and they're the same people that don't change with the times.
Yeah.
They just stick with
it's
their old
difficult to do. It's simple, but not easy, right? It's like you don't wake up one day and go, all right, I'm going to be a better me. I'm going to start changing with the times. Like that's a second to second decision. Yeah. Everything you do, and you've made some health changes, right, and lifestyle changes.
Yep.
Whether that's coffee or alcohol or exercise, like we all know what they are. But like if saying like if having the enough, we'd all be billionaires with 6-pack abs, something like that, right? It's right. Just enough. So it takes some character and understanding to just say, okay, what doesn't mean a lot. What are you doing regularly?
Yeah.
And that's running businesses, starting them. I mean, that rule applies. What are you doing? So the exit happens. Talked about being in Arizona. That happened. We kind of went down there and hung out for a little bit and sat in the hot tub and looked at the stars, and you were just fresh out, right? And probably some, cathartic release. But then, the bigger questions at some point arrived where, okay, where am I? What am I doing now? Who am I if I don't own a successful, well-known business? Questions of identity. What's that space like? Because chapters of change are easily defined, and you can kind of look at them and say, this was my business here, this is what I did here, this was my corporate career. Like what happens in those in-between spaces?
Yeah, great question. And one, I don't know that I completely, I think from day to day, I'm going to answer it differently.
Yeah.
I remember.
What is it today?
Well, I remember one of my Trek rep, Rick Abrams, we went to have a sandwich one day here in Wenatchee, and this was the day kind of at the height of the bike shop, and everybody knows who you are because you're a retailer everybody's been in your store. And he was like, man, you're like the mayor in this town. And I remember,
by the way, we couldn't go into a grocery store or gas station, and it didn't change in Arizona. I noticed it was a much bigger place. I thought it was the town, but like everybody knows you there too.
Yeah, it's just a weird, I would say that I don't really miss that. We're not really, limelight kind of people. We typically love people, but we know that there's a lot more to, any success that we had that wasn't us completely, faith wise and stuff. We know that there were a lot of doors open for us and continually, that happened that were unexplainable because of that. And so, that was always a weird thing. And so I don't know about, getting away. I think for me, like I start feeling like, my brain's not as sharp anymore. I'm a little bit more like trip over my thoughts a little bit because I'm not in this routine of doing something. I had an opportunity a couple of years ago to start training for this. I raced much the country, in June a couple
This
of years
is one
ago.
of the things you did after retirement or after
Yeah.
selling, right?
I mean,
Probably something you couldn't have done if you.
Oh, there's no way. No, because I was riding, 80 miles a day, and that takes 5 to 6 hours,
And from where to where? I mean, talk about that trip a little bit.
yeah, so that race, it was called the Great American Wheel Race, and it went from Seattle to Washington D.C. on back roads and dirt roads and kind of the off the beaten path. It was 3,616 miles.
That's it.
And,
Just
and
that.
yeah, that's it. It took me 28 to do it, and it was an amazing experience. Yeah, one I couldn't have done, but I mean, we're in, and we love doing it. It's something I've always wanted to do, was ride across it, but I wouldn't have ever thought about racing. I've always thought, well, gosh, we could go, like Carmen wants to go, next year or the year after, and we'll do 70 miles a day. Like anybody can, I mean, not anybody, but most people can do that with 3 or 4 months under their belt of really riding their bike. 70
And some
miles.
good supplements. And some,
Yeah. 70 is very far. It's like running 12 miles, maybe something like that, or 13. You're sitting down and you just go at easy pace and low heart rate, and it works well. I don't even know. See, there we go. It's just
no, that's okay. So the trip.
What I was is like, my brain goes now. So that just happened. I'm experiencing
But that's
that.
great. You're relaxed. You're not wearing a mask. You're just
Right.
The thoughts that come to you. You don't have an agenda. Not for me. Not for anybody else. You're gonna walk out there and say something that you don't expect, which is probably a good thing.
Well, but what I experience on that whole deal is your brain kind of goes more numb because you're just in a trance all the time. You're riding by yourself. It's just
During the trek, you're just
during training, during everything. And I think it actually slowed my brain down more because you're just out there, getting the air and the blood. I mean, it was an amazing experience. I tried to do another one this last summer from Astoria to Washington, D.C., and that one was 3,200 miles. And I don't think I lifted enough during the year as much as I did the year before. And so my core just wasn't very strong. And I got this condition called Schirmer's neck. And it's from being kind of hunched over and just in this position, for too long every day. And your muscles just aren't strong enough. And so I just had this neck strain that was going on. And Carmen had to come get me in Stanley, Idaho. It was 700 miles and 50,000 feet of climbing or something. I think I did. And that.
You're anywhere near your hometown?
No, this was down just by Boise, kind of in that region, close to the Utah border.
So you had to be rescued by Carmen, which isn't nearly the first or the last time that is.
Is got to make sure she's conditioned to keep me. Don't want to leave her hanging.
I think that kind of her self-chosen higher purpose. She's like, look, this guy is a permanent disaster, and waiting. I need to be on call.
Yeah, she definitely has one of those pagers, the pager.
No, I mean, I've witnessed it many times, and to where, I mean, her presence is sort of, magical, and her intuitive decisions in any situation. I mean, we talk about gut instincts, and I mean, it's pretty phenomenal where, she comes up with a direction on the spot and has absolute confidence and faith in it, and it turns out to be the right thing. So,
we all buy in. We're like, "Yep, no, you're right."
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think I've sometimes I've messaged to buyers in the formal environment where it's like, we need to do this and that, or Carmen mentioned something about going in the alley and figuring it out there. It's your choice. I said option A. You guys tell me what you want to do.
Yeah, I was going to share that story earlier, but I didn't.
I highly recommend the answer that doesn't have the word alley in it. So.
Yeah. The alley brawls they never work out in a retail environment.
No. So no, it's you guys are definitely you're a team, and you're in life and then in transition, right? And to that, I mean, I don't think you could have navigated some of those tougher, areas of uncertainty if she's not there for you and giving you that confidence.
Well, and I think too, even going to another opportunity, she's enjoying retirement. She's really have a lot of interest in getting back in a grind, and I can't ask her to do that because I have a dream, of that. I don't know how important the dream is, because I know she would if I really, really wanted her to, but at the same time, it's like, we don't need to. And I go back and forth so much, it's that's a good enough not do anything if you're not all in.
Yeah, if it's not an absolute hands down yes, maybe it's a no for now,
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yep.
It's okay to not busy yourself every day, right? Sometimes just time to reflect. And maybe that's an opportunity that not a business owner, and you need some time under your belt with that, right? To find that space where there's days where you have space.
Yep.
And there isn't an energy or some kind of an underlying anxiety, for the next thing.
Yeah.
There isn't right, email, phone, text, order or whatever it is. Those are all, I think, blessings of transition, which we need to recognize and embrace as people and business owners. Yeah. So what else? I mean, what else has happened? Races you've trained. I know Corbin got married, and got some new ventures happening. I mean, talk about some of the other exciting things going on.
They're partnering. Corbin started this pool business after he had 4 years or 3 years, I guess, of working with other people, kind of learning the ropes. So he went and started it, and then his brother was like, hey, I want to do this. And so, they're growing it and in the community well, and they've got favor. Again, it's people know who they are, and a lot of people know who Corbin is because he worked at the shoe store, so he was face to face with a lot of people, and so they're still benefiting from some of that. Although it's been 4 years now, I don't know if you know that it's been 4 years old that in November.
Yeah. It's so. What was it? 21.
I think it was, or something. I don't remember.
22 maybe. Yeah. I mean, we're coming up on the
Yeah. So we're just enjoying. We're kind of going here and going there and trying to do some things as reasonably as we can. We worked on the yard a lot this summer up here in Wenatchee, and kind of had some fun, doing that kind of stuff. And there's nothing super exciting. We're just kind of taking it day by day, and still out, meeting with people and having people over, for dinners and grabbing coffee, and trying to stay connected with the community as well as we can. At the same time, it's changed. We recognize a lot of people anymore. We're just not out there in Main Street. But
what I think is great that you and as somebody who had the opportunity to be a part of that transition, what I love to see is that you've got a full next chapter in full bloom. You're doing things. You're capable. You have your health. You've got your family. This idea of running the business until you quote unquote retire and are then relegated to kind of puttering around or walking around a tourist site with a camera around your neck. Like, there's nothing wrong with it, but like doing them across the country after you sell is, to me, a more a better way of enjoying the fruits of your labor than waiting too long and then just saying, well, I'm just now someone in this business and I retired. That's kind of the end of your identity. You don't have much past that. To me, that's a little sad, to be honest.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, you reach different chapters of your life, and, you open and close them. And the bigger purpose, there's got to be a bigger purpose for your existence than, doing business and or being a good neighbor or, donating money to so-and-so. You have to kind of know where your destination is and be secure with that. your final destination, So that's a big part for us. Our life is, is really the question of the answer. If there really were a heaven, if there really were a hell, where do you believe that you would be at the end of the day, if you were to die? And so it's just a big question. And if you're not comfortable asking that, it doesn't matter what chapter of life you're in. You have to answer that and feel confident in your answer. And everybody's their own individual person, and so that's your responsibility as a person to be able to answer that. And
then the rest falls into place.
Yeah, and so like for us right now, we're in a different. We don't wear our sweats or our pajamas sometimes until evening. We might not even take a shower, and and I would say, initially, like, and probably even still today, I would say retirement is definitely overrated. If you don't have a purpose, it's you see images or the people walking on the beach, and they're holding hands, and it's the for fidelity, do you have your retirement savings, set up for you or whatever, and everybody's got the image, or they've got the picture on their fridge of food for them, or gosh, when I'm retired, I'm going to go do all these things, and it's like, well, you're still there. Yeah. It doesn't if you're at home or you're on the beach or you're still you wherever you're at. So selling a business or retiring is never going to change that. You are you. So if you're not happy with yourself while you're in business and you're stressed out on all those types of things, you're not going to be happy with yourself at retirement. Mm-hmm. You have too much time to not be happy with yourself. And so it's important, I think, to be able to really consider that and be like, well, I want to quit, or I want to sell, or I want to get out, or I want to do all these things because I don't want to deal with, X, Y, Z. Fall back in love with it, and that's like I said earlier, part of the regret. I think I wish we still had a shoe store. I really wish, I could have just figured out a way to unplug for a couple of years and then go grind it out again for another decade. So, but at the same time, enjoy my freedom. So I'm kind of in the middle. I'm really kind of don't know what's next. That's why I'm worried if we do another venture, but I also won't be surprised if we don't do another venture. I'm kind of like, if the right opportunity presented itself, we'd probably be very interested in something.
Mm-hmm. You feel like you got the energy to kind of re-up again? And
I feel like I have a different perspective, and I feel like if I did it, I would have to go in with a different position. I'd have to go in as more of a mentor and less of a hands-on, and I'd have to be able to just let people figure it out. And that's hard to do with your money.
Yeah. It would require you to grow as a business owner once again, which
Huge. I'm up for.
You're up for it?
Oh, I'm up for challenges. That's part of the growth. And that's the thing. Like, if we're not growing, I think that's the comment. Means like, I'm just, at times you feel like you're just existing. Like, okay, I woke up today. Mm-hmm. We have some things on our schedule. A dinner tonight with some friends that are coming over, and a phone call that's going to happen after this. This conversation with you. And so I have things to do, but if I don't go out and do more, or I don't read, or I don't, go out and get on my bike or do those types of things, I'm just kind of like getting through the day. And it's like, well, that's a ridiculous thing.
Right. Of reading, I mean, and then just growing, what sort of stuff are you reading, listening to, paying attention to? Like, what's catching your eye and ear these days?
Well, I was getting into this podcast when I was on my bike. They're called the Faith-Driven Investor, Faith-Driven Entrepreneur, and they're a group that just deals with foundations and causes that are for the betterment of society. And they're I like to be pretty inspired. During training. It's been a while since I've listened to them because I haven't really been on my bike too much. But it's that, and I read the Bible. That's as far as reading goes. I hate reading a bit. My mind wanders all over the place, and so I really have to kind of plan the time and.
Yeah, but I think you're more perceptive and you pay attention. Like, I remember driving around with you in Arizona, and we're spinning on business ideas. We actually ended up like pulling over to places. There was some place that had a pizza oven that we wanted to import, and sort of kind of improving people's backyards, and I mean, off the road and change your plan to attend to some highly important priorities.
Yeah, I love, I think probably my dream, and I know that I do this before, but I think my dream opportunity would be to be a consultant, but almost like angel investor, but investment is time. And, because I believe that we do have a secret sauce that isn't so secret. I just think it's difficult for people in the how. They can understand the why, it's the how, and it's the consistency of doing it day in and day out, And I would love, I go into businesses all the time and I'm like, we could crank this place up.
If you would only listen.
Be 6 months and 10% equity and we'll make this thing happen. Or you're going to close your doors in a year, 2 years, because it's just.
And you're able to see that too if you walk in. I mean, you can see the end for them if you don't,
100%. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's what I'm talking about is like you walk in, you spend seconds in a retail location and you can write a book about it.
Yeah. It's, if you're, it's the much of it, first of all, right? Because, you go into a market like, let's say Spokane, because I'm pretty familiar with that because I grew up in the region there. But okay, one restaurant works. Now we have 150 of them. The same concept. You come into Wenatchee, there's likely 100 Mexican restaurants.
Probably about right. Yeah.
Right. So if I was going to start a Mexican restaurant, why would I pick Wenatchee? Why would I think I could do this better than the other 99 Mexican restaurants? I
don't know. Why do you think that?
Yeah, it doesn't. You couldn't. Right. I mean, first of all, like for me, I'm not even going to attempt it because.
So you don't think that?
No.
Okay.
No. I think 85 of them need to find.
Wait, 15 is plenty.
Yeah, 15 is probably
15 good ones is plenty.
Yeah, we have a new group bought the old fire station here in town, and they're going to turn it into a nicer restaurant. Wenatchee needs it. That place is going to be slammed if they know how to serve people, and these guys have a background, so they're going to. It's like McGlynn's. The kind of sought after restaurant in town. It's always busy. It's the restaurant.
Which one is it?
McGlynn's.
Oh, McGlynn's. Yeah, I mean, we had, it was right across almost the street from. Yeah, I mean, great place. Yeah.
But it's first of all, if the opportunity is there and you look around and you're like, you guys have no idea what you have. If you would just like say hi to me when I walk in the door, even notice that I'm here, even have a parking spot somewhere for me, which we weren't,
I think you're pushing it a little bit, but
yeah, right. We didn't have that very well, but it's a thing. It's those that we see in a number of seconds. I mean, there's just my brain.
I see the same without, like, I don't want to see it anymore, but I walk into a restaurant and a cafe, and I mean, I have a training manual and sort of a plan for them ahead, which doesn't mean that's always there's anything wrong, but you just pick up detail, and a lot of it, the big things, they're doing everything right. Like location's good, prices, food, whatever, it's all fine. But it is I've been standing here for a minute and a half. You walk by me, you don't have to seat me, but you could have said, hello, I'll be right with you as you walk by. And that would have been a fantastic touch and would have introduced kind of it would have landed differently. The fact that I'm standing here and you walk by me 3 times and said nothing is an easy fix.
It tells me that I'm here for you. Who's going to listen? It tells me that I'm here for you. You're not here for me. And as a customer,
a lot of different things, but yeah.
But what I is like, in those types of situations, like you're standing there and they look at you and they're like, yes, how can I? And then the phone rings and then they answer, standing there. We turn around and walk out. We won't stay. Like it's a non-negotiable. if you're going to take the phone over a customer that's ready to do business with you right now, I'm not even going to.
Game over. It's game over. It's not even the company phone. It's their cell phone.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hang on, I'm texting. I'm on Facebook.
Yeah. I mean, what is there to instruct at that level? I mean, are we too far apart at that point? Probably.
Yeah. Well, yeah, there's probably a non-existent owner.
Yeah. Yeah. And who knows? It's challenging, and part of that is, again, the shifting idea of service, and it's that kind of the image and the garden and maybe some press and the decor all add up to this shifting dynamic where I as the customer, I'm to be privileged to be there, which I will not accept.
No.
I mean, much like you as a customer, like if the privilege is mine, I'll just find somewhere else.
Right.
Thank you, but
yeah, I'll go to DoorDash or something. At least they'll go up and say hi.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Right. Well, touch on Bravenly and then what you're doing there. I mean, that's the new venture and something.
Yeah. So we have some friends. I was surfing around on Facebook about a year and a half ago, and this friend of ours, they had lost a ton of weight. I'm always like interested in what the heck are you guys doing? And they said, well, we started representing naturopathic supplements, and I was like, well, do they have anything for energy? Because I was kind of low on energy, and they're like, absolutely, we'll send you a sample. And so that kind of started the whole process. Carmen was like, I'm not doing anything. As like I mentioned earlier, she's had this, situation going on where she's had this journey with rheumatoid arthritis, and it's just debilitating on your body. Your joints get all jacked up, they hurt, and you have a hard time moving. And she battled through that, through all the days of working and pain and time.
I remember I asked her, and she physically showed me, and like with a finger joint.
Yeah, it goes like this.
A picture is a million words in that case. I mean,
So she's like, I go, hey, I think I want to get some of these things, and obviously there's a opportunity to make a business out of it. And she goes, well, you can do whatever you want to do. I'm not talking to anybody about anything. And so I was like, that's fine. I don't know if I am either, but if we were going to, we'll just sign up so that we can if we decide we want that. So after about 3 days of taking these things, her arm, she used to have to get it going to lift it up over her head. She comes downstairs and she goes, Greg, look. And I was like, what the heck?
After 3 days?
Yeah. She used to come down our stairs like sidestep, and it would take her like 30 or 45 seconds to get down the stairs. And she's bebopping down the stairs and I'm like, what is going on? After 30 days, she hasn't had joint pain for almost a year and a half now. She's running, she's walking. Now, I don't know that would work that way for everybody, but it's worked for her, right? And it works for a lot of people.
And I mean, is that, I imagine you're not finding a lot of success with everyone, but generally, like what is it?
Yep, people have awesome results. And, some people will lose, like we have friends that have been using it for a year now, and they've each lost over 50 pounds. I take
Does it require other changes? Like you have to lifestyle changes? I mean, food, exercise, any of that? You just got to prioritize it, or?
Part of it is appetite control, and so some of the supplements, they help with the appetite control, and the little pantry hands or whatever they call it, where I'm a snacker. I love snacks. I love chips and crackers, cheese and things like that.
Count Chocula cereal.
Oh, man.
At Costco, when that stuff is on discount, man, you can't resist it.
But, it's everybody has different results, and so not a big change, but you just don't want to eat the junk, And so anyway, we get a month into it. She can't stop talking about it to everybody. In fact, I think she even called you and ground on.
I remember the stages. Yeah. I mean, we were talking about it, and I mean, she seemed genuinely
totally
excited.
Yeah. So, it's been a year and a half, and, we've kind of moved up the ranks, I guess, if that's a thing. And it's just kind of fun. I think we have, I don't know, 50 or 60 people that have, come on board under us. And now we have this new way to present it, and it's working, and they're getting behind it. And that's all it takes, to to make money in this business, it's like any business, you have to have people, and the people is what, instead of the grocery store making income, you're making income for kind of a representative of it. So Bravenly is based out of Florida. They were the 6th fastest growing private company in the state of Florida this year. The company will do $100 million this year, and they're 5 years old. Just celebrated.
That's almost on par with Performance Footwear.
They just celebrated their 5th.
Up in that category.
Yeah. So it's just a crazy thing, and the only way, it started out at $1 million the first year, and that was 5 years ago, and then they went to like 2 million, and then they went to 10 million, and then 18 or something like that, and then they just kept going. And this year, they'll do 100 million, and that can only happen through people that reorder, and add to it, because the product works. It's not just a fluky deal, not inexpensive. It's not like somebody, because they're like, wow, these are cheap and they work great. They're expensive and they work great, but you also have an opportunity to earn enough money to pay for them. And so that's what we help people do. We help them kind of see the big picture and go out and tell all their friends. And we're still hoping to get you on board. I mean, you got things in your family. You're probably not getting a lot of sleep right now at home.
Yeah. Greg, as soon as the cold water stuff's working for me, I mean, you're the next step. I'm a believer. We'll put the notes and we'll put the link in the show notes, but how do people find out about it? Do they just get in touch with you, or just?
Yeah, I think I shared a link with you.
Yeah. We'll share that.
They can just reach out on that link. And
is it something they can talk to you about? Or is it kind of a?
Yep.
Okay.
Contact us if you lose weight, or you lack energy, you get brain fog, you can't sleep at night, you have joint pain. There's a lot. I mean, there's millions. A lot. Most of it is around nootropics. The functional mushrooms and things like that are the good mushrooms, not the ones that
not the Alice in Wonderland, not the Vision. I mean, maybe those are good mushrooms too. I don't know.
Yeah. But 15-minute phone conversation definitely can answer all the questions. So happy to talk to anybody. Thank you for asking about it.
Absolutely. We'll spread the good word. Other than that, it's been a phenomenal conversation. Part of the reason for having these conversations, because you have talked like this many times.
Always,
right?
Yeah.
And just there's so much there that I'll into a client or something, and some of these questions will come up, and in my head I'm like, I wish you could have been a fly on the wall in this conversation, because we talked about this at length, right? But it's hard to kind of tap into that notice. So I just really appreciate you sharing all the knowledge and experience, and you're a wealth of information. I mean, anything you'd like to share with business owners?
Yeah, I think Lat's notes, it's not even like necessarily just like a cookie cutter, business owner going into a sale or a purchase, or whatever place you're at. I think probably the biggest that I would leave behind is you can. And I think that's the world that we live in says you can't. And
in general, as a concept, like limitations of, sell, grow, buy, you can.
And
I love it.
It's a thing that you have to make. Like, the only thing that holds you back is you, and so, like your business, like, done some miraculous, awesome things. We did some miraculous and awesome things, and we believed. And at the end of the day, I think it all comes down to, who owes who, and we just talked about it with the restaurants. We don't owe them anything.
Right.
They owe.
Fundamentally, I believe that the client doesn't owe me anything.
Oh. And so as a whether you're working for somebody now, you own your own business, or you want to own your business, don't ever forget that. Like, they are not there for you. You are there for them. And your responsibility, even as a worker for a business, responsibility is to the business that houses your job, that you can serve their people at any capacity. You could be in the back office doing paperwork and punching numbers. You still can serve. there's still the way to be able to do that and to infect a community of people around you or whatever. And so I think a lot of people, they stop right when they get an idea because they think, well, I couldn't do it. That wouldn't work. I don't know.
Right. And they forget that they ever had it.
Right. They're on to the next thing. Gosh, if I would have just come up with the bubble gum, I would have been a millionaire. And it's like, well, millionaire isn't much anymore. Everybody's a millionaire now. But it's like, you're not, even if you came up with the gum, you probably wouldn't have brought it into market because you didn't believe in yourself.
But you think that's the limitation. It's not the money. It's not the time. It's not any of these external things. It's you, and the message is you can.
You can. Yeah, because if you have an idea and you fire about it, like you can't stop in and talking and living in it, you're going to tell the story and somebody's going to buy that. There's a lot of money out there.
And it could be millions of someone's if you're passionate about it.
Yep. Yeah. So figure out what the why is and then get excited about it and then have belief that you can make it happen.
Because if you don't, it's like you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Right.
So,
Yep. Yeah. You don't have to be the smartest kid in the room. You just have to have some ambition and a plan and a why. And then you have to be able to believe that you are going to make it happen.
That's an inspiring message. I really love that. Couldn't have said it better. And I think it needs to be heard.
Yeah, I believe so too. I love it. And these kids today just don't, they don't live in that environment. Either it's absent at home, that message, or dad's gone, working because everybody's working 2 jobs, or the schools don't teach it. They teach other things.
They do teach other things, or the opposite. The message is you can't. Right?
Yeah, go home. Go home and rest. The government's going to take. No, I'm going to go there anyway.
Yeah, I know where you're going. We could do a whole episode on that.
Yeah. I really I believe in people, and I believe we've all been, created for something great. And if you don't ever tap into that, you'll never know. You'll just die a person that didn't.
And wonders about the roads not traveled, right?
Yeah.
Which is probably internally one of the biggest that's what regret is, right? Regret is ruminating on what you didn't do, So.
Like, man, if I would have, we all do that.
Yeah. Or then you develop, some years go by and you develop a total sense of confidence. You're like, if I did that, for sure, like, I would have, and such is to blame for me not doing it. But man, if that didn't happen, if that person did my way, I would have been, like, remember the movie Napoleon Dynamite?
Oh yeah.
Remember Uncle Rico?
Oh yeah.
He had this, chilling in the hot tub with my soulmate, and then he'd have these these sort of inspirations of the second. How much you want to bet I can throw a ball over the mountains? And he just like would have. If the coach would have just put me in, we would have won state. I would have hot tub with my soulmate. I mean, like, it's a funny movie, but it's a true story.
There's a lot.
Like, if the coach had put me in, like, put yourself in and find your soulmate,
Yep. Dream a little bit. Write things down. Pursue things and find somebody that gets excited about it with you.
Messaging, I will say, I know you're not doing the YouTube channel anymore, but for me, if you're someone between the ages of 3 and 103, Greg the Idea Guy on YouTube has some nuggets for you. So I'll tell people to that out. I mean, anything else that people should know?
I don't think so. I think I'm looking forward to getting any feedback, from this message or whatever from people that might be across this anytime. I mean, this is going to live forever, right? So
it will, and I think you've manifested it and you've put that out there, and it will kind of take on a life of its own and find its end user and the listener. I don't know who it will be, but I think the content's and the value there. So that's what focused on.
And obviously, I'm going to plug you, Oliver, at the end of this. Not a paid advertisement.
Please.
I obviously we're friends, and so
I think that much has been established. Yeah.
Yeah, but and I've said it. I'm just going to say it publicly. I mean, you already know, Carmen and I like thoroughly enjoyed working with you and your patience, and you held my hand through it, because I know I was in oblivion so many different times, like frustrated, and you just you just had a way of also having confidence in the process and the timing, and you nailed it. You were spot on with that. You brought an amazing buyer, a group, two guys that have done a phenomenal job with the business. So they carried on, what we kind of started, or what Dan and Cheryl started. But you got us what you said we would get, and you were confident about that, and you were just really good at it. And we've referred you, and I know you've done the same job for those guys. So I'm excited to see what's next for you. Still waiting for the job offer from you to be your assistant. Still hasn't come, but I'm excited.
Have faith, Greg. Take your own advice. Just
yeah, right. Yeah. Anyway,
I really appreciate it, and I think it was we came together at the right time, and worked well together. But yeah, it's highly appreciated, and we've been a part of your journey, and obviously we're still here, a chunk of time later. So it's
and we'll probably do another deal.
It sounds like we're working on another one.
Maybe we can get Carmen's YouTube channel up, and so we could sell that. That's Carmen's World.
Carmen's World. Okay, so I remember seeing that. That's still active.
She's
okay.
So nutball thing. Like
we'll put Carmen's World on there as well. Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. She's kind of it kind of lightened up message. So anyway.
Yeah.
Maybe we can organize that and get that thing sold.
It's all if it's got followers and goodwill. I mean, but here's the thing. It's very owner dependent. Right. If Carmen leaves,
I would have to change the name. Well, we'll just name the new person Carmen.
Yeah.
Anyway, appreciate you. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, what's you guys doing something for the holidays, Christmas? What's happening? Anything?
Got the mom coming over from Spokane, and the boys will come over at some point. I don't know. I looked at Carmen because we've been up here. We'll be here for the whole month, and it's cold, and dark, and cloudy and gloomy and all that kind of stuff. And I was like,
well, you're going to Hawaii from what you told me.
Well, that's in January.
Okay.
But we could have just come up for a week around Christmas and not left Arizona, where it's 76 today, or 67 or something like that. But I told her, I go, this year, if the kids don't hang out a bunch with us, I'm done with coming up here for a whole month, because there's nothing to do. Like, we're sitting waiting. As a parent with kids that are in their 20s now, they have their own lives.
They do.
They don't want to hang out.
I'm experiencing it myself. I mean, I'm a little behind you. They're younger, but I can. The preview of coming attractions is right in front of me.
And we don't blame them. I mean, we were this way, and so I just told them the other day, hey guys, we're here because you're here, and that's the only reason we're here. So if we don't see you guys a lot, no manipulation here or anything, but it's totally fine. Yeah. It's just next year we might have you guys down to Arizona for Christmas, or we'll just come up for a week or whatever. But I think
send Corbin a text that just says, after the speech, you just go, hey Corbin, we're here, you're not here,
we're out of here.
Why are we here? And just start pick that mode of communication, of just the slightly sarcastic, passive aggressive, abandoned empty nester parent tone, because I hear that works well.
Yeah. It seems to get a lot of mileage. We'll get your license down in Arizona so we can get you on selling the next deal.
Not sure who that is, but I'd love to see you and maybe connect in Wenatchee, or when you guys come up here. But let's sync up soon.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Oliver.
Good, thanks.
We'll talk soon.
See you next time. Bye.